So this was definitely an interesting pasta. It's about the aftermath of a horrible incident at a now closed down salon, which hosts a spirit on the 4th floor. It was cool to have a story about a dead spirit that could actually stop the elevator on the 4th floor at times for unfortunate people to witness the dead area that surrounded them. And it's also fun that the spirit fucks around with other people when they try to reconstruct the damn floor. I guess she's become cozy with it all abandoned and whatnot. I think it's long enough to be scary, and I'm really surprised that people don't talk about this one more often. It's a nice short scary story to enjoy by the bonfire. I was in Taiwan one year when I was younger, and I had traveled to a busy night market. You know, these are popular gatherings that usually operate in the evening. Nearby, I spotted a sign for a net cafe in a 5 to 6 story tall building. Thinking that I'd fire off some quick emails, I walked in the dark small entrance of the building. The aging building appeared to not be well maintained, but that was not out of the ordinary in Taiwan. The entrance just had a dark hallway that led to a small elevator. I pressed the elevator call button and entered. The elevator was uncharacteristically new compared to the building, but I didn't think much of it. Like some Chinese buildings, when I looked at the floor numbers, I noticed that there wasn't a 4th floor. It's considered bad luck since 4 sounds like death, so it just read 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, which was normal. I looked for the floor that the net cafe was at, which was the 6th floor, and pressed the button. The elevator lurched into action quite quietly and began to ascend. When it stopped, I figured it was my floor, so I instinctively began to step out. Right before stepping out, however, sight outside the elevator stopped me. It was pitch black, only lit by the light in the elevator. It looked like it hasn't been occupied for decades. Random pieces of furniture with white cloth or similar were scattered around. This was a small building, so I could see pretty much the entire floor from the elevator. Thinking I must have gotten the wrong floor, I checked the light that indicates which floor you're on. Strangely, there was nothing. None of the indicators were on. It just remained blank. But the floor button to the net cafe was still lit, so I know I haven't gone there yet. I stood with my eyes just scanning the bizarre floor for a couple of seconds. That's when I noticed a figure moving in the distance of the floor. It was not very visible, but I could make out what looks like a person dressed in some kind of gown, moving slowly towards the elevator. I was thoroughly creeped out, so I started pressing the close door button. As soon as I pressed it, the elevator light flickered off. I am this close to pissing my pants, and it's actually kind of freaking me out thinking back to it. The lights flickered back on under a second, and the door closed. The elevator jolted back to life. A few moments later, it opened again to the net cafe. I am beyond relieved at this point. I walked out immediately and sat down at a computer. After gathering my wits a bit, I walked over to the cashier's desk and told him what I saw. The girl working there listened, and her face turned a bit ashen, so I asked her if she heard similar occurrences. She told me that she never experienced it, but some co-workers and occasional customers had brought it up. Basically, the building has 6 floors, and the 4th one had a history. Apparently the floor used to be a hair salon of sorts, until one of the employees killed herself there for some reason. She slit her wrists over the hair wash station and died. The store continued operations despite stories of weird appearances. When customers got their hair rinsed, the water would look a little red, like the customer was bleeding, little things like that, and a couple people reported seeing someone's figure walking away in the mirror. Naturally, the business closed down a few months later. The building owner tried to re-rent the place out, but never had any luck. Most businesses are quite superstitious, and no one wanted to rent the 4th floor after someone had died in it, even at a very cheap price. Finally, after dropping the price to nearly nothing, a stationery supply store wanted to rent. During the renovations of the floor, however, several accidents would happen. Tools would end up in strange places, a mirror from the previous business shattered when no one was near it, and finally a worker had his hand jammed between the elevator doors when it closed on him unexpectedly. The workers refused to continue working, and finally, the business left and the building owner finally gave up and shut down the floor. He finally had the elevator company come in to replace the panel so that the elevator could not go to the 4th floor. Let me repeat that. The elevator was programmed to never go to the 4th floor. It doesn't even have a button. But for some reason, sometimes when people take the elevator, it would go to the 4th floor, and the doors were open. And some, like myself, would see a figure walking around in the dark.